Welcome to this episode of Rolling History. In this episode, we're going to pull the transmission out, check it out, see what it needs. Hopefully it won't need too much. Hopefully all the teeth are in there, and put some new bearings in it and get it ready to go. So I came out and I moved the Dodge around a little bit, and I went to look inside, and it turns out transmission is just kind of hanging there. It's hanging by the drive shaft and a couple little rods there. You can see it looks like the brake hooks up there, and then down here the emergency brake. So maybe we're ahead of the game on this one, and we'll have some real time to tear into it. But for now, it looks like it's almost out. I'm going to work on it a little bit and see if we can't get it the rest of the way out. Okay, I think I got all the bolts undone, and I have this thing loosened here, and it all slides back, and that shows me the universal joint. So I got to figure out how to get that off, and then we'll be able to take it out. So let me check that out, and I'll be back. So I got the transmission out. I didn't show it because it wasn't pretty, but I got it up here on the bench, and it's time to take it apart. So let me get some tools and I'll start taking it apart. Okay, so I haven't taken one of these apart before, so it's going to take me a little while to figure it out. But my first step in getting the clutch out, I think, is going to be to pull this pin, and that's the pivot for the throwout bearing. And it seems like that might be what's holding it. I'm not 100% sure at this time, so I got to kind of take it slow. I don't want to break anything, but I'm going to give that a shot first and see if that can get me where I want to go. Alright, so I got the clutch out, and when I pulled it out, it had these two little pieces in there. I'm not sure, they don't look ground up, so they haven't been in there wrong. Maybe that was just something I did when I took the engine out, or when I pulled this piece off. So I'll have to look it up. I'm not 100% sure on where those go, but I'm sure there's a book that'll tell me. If not, there's someone in the Dodge Club that knows where they go. So anyways, I've got the clutch out. I'm just going to set it aside because I'm not working on that today. And let's see if we can't get the rest of this apart. So I have all the bolts off from the bell housing in there, and it's pretty loose. It's going to come off. So I'm going to get this out of the way. So now we're down to just the transmission, and I'm going to add these little bolts back in here to the throwout bearing thing so I don't lose them. So let me start pulling this apart, and we'll see what we got inside. So we're about to get our first look inside here. See what's going on. Maybe I should have checked if there was any oil in it first, but it's kind of late for that, so Let's see what we've got. Well, there wasn't any oil. There was just some slime. Let me get the camera off and I'll give you guys a look. Okay, so the bottom of the top cover, that's pretty clean. Doesn't look too bad. I don't see anything major. All of these little gear teeth look like they're here. This is actually the speedometer drive. All these little teeth right here. This is what drives the speedometer. And inside, it had, well, I guess the gear oil had just kind of started to solidify, but there's enough of it in there, it kind of coated everything. It doesn't look like there's any rust, and actually seems pretty good. So, awesome news. Let me see what I can do to get some new bearings in there, and well, before we jump ahead of ourselves, let's get it the rest of the way apart, and then we'll check it out and see. I finally got this collar off for the U-joint. I tried everything, and then I guess I just messed with it enough and it just kind of fell off. So it's off, and I'm happy about that. So I almost have the rest of it apart. I got a huge mess here. Not super happy about that. Let's see if I can't get the rest of this out of here. There's the main shaft. And there's the cluster gears. And the only thing left in here is just some nasty grease and the two bearings that need to be replaced. And that's it. So I'm going to clean this all up. It's not going to be fun, and I don't want to. All right, so I'm going to clean this all up, and I'll be back. Okay, here's the top of the transmission, and as you can see, they've made some hold downs sort of with that wire and those two little plates that holds that collar on. Now I don't know what's behind there. I've never been in one of these before, but I'm assuming there's a problem here because well, that's a weird place to store your baling wire, so we're gonna have to find out what that is. But I thought it was kind of cool to look at, knowing that someone probably did that 75 or 100 years ago. So one of the bearings, the main bearings, is right here behind this cover, and I'm going to take this off now, see what it looks like. So the last couple weeks I've just been cleaning transmission parts and painting them and getting them ready to put back together. I also got some new bearings, and these are sealed. The old bearings, they don't even turn anymore, so it needed them, and this time they're going to have sealed bearings in there, so I don't have to worry about the oil making its way up to them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press the bearings into the case, the transmission case, and then we'll assemble the rest of the transmission. Okay, so I have the first one ready to go in, the first bearing. I'm just going to press it in real quick. That went in pretty easy. Okay, all right, so I got a weird angle here, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lower gear cluster in. I'm just going to lube it up a little bit with some assembly lube. I don't know if you can see it, the way that camera angle is. I'm hoping you can see it. I guess it's not all that important if you don't. Yeah, I think you can probably see it. Okay, so the lower gear cluster is in. And it gets a little screw right in here, or a bolt. So I got the trans all back together. I don't have a top for it anymore. The top that I had, if you remember in the video when I pointed out all the wires holding the shifter in, was damaged, and so I got a new one from one of the guys in the Dodge Brothers Club, but it's not here yet, so I can't put it on. But other than that, I'm just waiting on some clutch discs to get here so I can put the clutch in, and the cover so I can put the cover on, and the transmission will be finished. But that's all the time I have right now, so that's where we're gonna have to stop. All right, thanks for watching Rolling History. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.